I get faced with this question a lot. So you're Korean. So do you speak Korean? Do you know Korean? It's always been something I tell people, I've never gone around to it or no, but I want to. This has been something I've experienced basically my entire life. And recently I found myself questioning why I haven't learned Korean. Hi, my name is Jonathan Shin, and my ethnicity is full South Korean. My parents both immigrated to America from South Korea at a young age, and they were both bilingual with Korean as their first language. Most of my extended family lives in Korea, and we make trips regularly there to visit them. I've been surrounded with Korean culture my entire life, and Korean-only speakers such as my grandparents. So for anyone out there who has thought about learning their native language or stepping out of their comfort zone to learn something new, I would love to share a little bit of my plans and goals for accomplishing that feat myself. Hopefully I can inspire you to pursue it as well, whether it be a skill, language, or anything new. So, learning my native language would allow me to connect with my family culture, and my cultural identity in ways that I've never been able to before. It would help me unlock different opportunities and different ways that I can connect with other people and the world itself. Today, I want to cover 3 aspects that relate to me learning my native language. So, I'll be starting with my motives behind it, my plan for accomplishing this, and then finally, a little bit of my predictions on how it will affect my life after. So, you're probably all wondering, what motivated you to do this? I wanted to connect with my culture and with my Korean-speaking family members. Having grown up in America since I was born, the culture here was mostly what I've conformed to. Even when I visit Korea, I feel much more of like an American tourist as opposed to being a native. Being able to connect with native Korean people will allow me to experience a side of my culture I've never had before. Learning Korean would also allow me to be more in touch with my family, being able to finally communicate with older members of my family that only speak Korean. I've always had a language barrier with my grandparents and therefore was not able to get as close with them. I would finally be able to appreciate their advice and years of wisdom, all while getting to know them on a deeper level. So I've heard and also done research on many benefits of being bilingual. So as stated in an article on the Intercultural Development Research Association website, on a personal and intellectual level, it allows individuals to become more in touch with their identity. It also contributes to a more positive self-concept and allows you to develop and mature your brain in ways that lead to higher cognitive function. There are also economical benefits to learning more than one language. As stated in a Forbes article titled The 3 Corporate Benefits of Learning a Foreign Language and Why You Should Care, Forbes contributor Brian Rashid writes about having learned more than one language. You are able to upgrade your personal network and you're able to communicate with a completely new demographic. It's also shown that bilinguals have the ability to have more logical and rational thought processes. So, my plan to accomplish this. I want to stay in Korea for a summer and force myself to only speak Korean, whether it be in an internship or foreign exchange program. This would allow me to completely immerse myself in the culture and completely isolate myself from the English language. On an article on educationfirst.edu, travel writer and multilingual speaker Emma Victoria writes about why studying a language abroad is one of the best ways to learn. She states that being completely immersed in the language without any other distractions helps one gain a deeper understanding as you learn colloquialisms and other relevant phrases they actually use within their culture. I also plan to attend Korean American events, locations, and classes while I'm in America. So while in America, I plan on pursuing my learning of Korean with every opportunity. This includes going to Korean church and connecting with other Korean-speaking individuals, as well as attending K-Fest, which is a Korean festival which takes place in Houston every year and celebrates the culture. I've also planned on online and in-person classes where I can learn the language in a more class-like setting before I move to Korea for the summer. This would allow me to understand the basics and provide me with a language base that would make learning easier when I'm in Korea. This includes Rosetta Stone, as well as a class at the Houston Korean Education Center. So, you're probably wondering, what are my predictions for after the fact? I hope to be more in touch with my identity and culture. With a full understanding of the language and having spent 3 months or more in Korea, I would have a much better understanding of not only the Korean people, but the Korean culture. I also hope to have found a community within America and hope to grow my circle of influence in Korean culture. I would also feel much more comfortable traveling and navigating Korea in my future visits. I would no longer feel like a tourist, and in turn, I would be able to finally experience Korea in its fullest, being able to communicate easily with every individual I come across, and understand the world around me, such as digital media, advertisements, and street signs. I would also finally be able to learn and communicate with my grandparents. In a title called When Grandparents Have No Language with Their Grandchildren, an article by multilingualparenting.com, it stated that verbal communication is the primary interaction between grandparents and grandchildren. This could lead to a loss of opportunity between them if there is a language barrier. Having learned Korean fluently, I hope to be able to finally connect with my grandparents and be able to experience a more meaningful connection with them. I hope to learn from them and be able to understand their stories, wisdom, and knowledge. I know it would be something they would be very appreciative of and very excited about, and that in itself would be enough for me. So, in conclusion, to restate, learning my native language will allow me to connect with my family, my culture, and cultural identity in ways that I've never had before. It's never easy to break from your comfort zone, especially when taking in such a feat as learning a completely new language. I felt this for years, but in the end, I realized that my culture is something I need to learn and embrace. In many ways, I've become blind to the numerous opportunities embracing this could lead to. So I want to leave you with this. Whether it be a language, a new hobby, or facing one of your fears, if it's something you've thought about doing for a while, just do it. It's okay to face failure, but at the end of your life, you never want to be faced with the question, what if? So get out there and pursue it.